just do a drawing complete by myself. And therefore, the number of people who's been rendered jobless, so to speak, on this account. I remember the previous speaker talking about secretaries. It's not just secretaries. It is, we're talking about secretaries. We're talking about draftsmen. I don't know how many of them are still, working especially on basic things. So as digitization and this age comes up, this is where we are finding ourselves. I will have a proper, before the end of this, it's 10:21, I should probably take maybe not more than 30 minutes or maybe slightly more. I will have a proper presentation at the end of this, but now I just want to probably just talk about that. We are talking about the digitization. I'll talk about this later in that other slide. And the continuing convergence of real and virtual worlds. When I say the real and virtual worlds, is I think you can think of very many things that are, we're talking about artificial intelligence right now. We are talking about, what is this? Simulations. So that is actually the convergence of the real and virtual worlds. The simulation is actually done virtually, but the final product, once the simulation is done and accepted by the users, we are talking about now the real world. We need to put ourselves in a position where between the virtual and the real, we are in between there, so that we don't have some people doing the virtual and others doing the real. I'll show you, I have a few videos that I had prepared to show you. And when we are talking about those virtuals and the reals, we'll go and see some of them and where we are losing our jobs. Another example of losing jobs is the banks. I can't remember the last time I walked into a bank. When I want money, I go to my phone and I pick the money I want. Incidentally, just the other day, I realized even when you're applying for a loan right now, they don't have, you don't need to go to the bank. On my phone, I have a whatever, you look for the loan and they tell you your loan has been approved. Online, without, you don't even apply. They actually look at your credentials and credits and they decide you can actually borrow up to this amount of money from nowhere. And so what happens to the bank tellers? What happens to them? The bank managers? Those are the jobs that are being lost. But what do? You as a bank manager, now that your job is actually on the line and it's not for something that you've done. It's just that this digital age. And this digital age is actually called the fourth industrialization. We had 3 other industrial revolutions. We'll talk about them earlier. We'll talk about them a bit later. But within these industrializations, where do you find yourself and how do you move on? I think that is what the topic was. What we are discussing is job opportunities in digital age, fields of architecture and engineering. And as I said, because that is my line, that is, if I'm too on that, you'll excuse me. We're talking about augmented and virtual reality for presentations. Nowadays, when you want to buy a house, you don't physically have to go and walk through all the houses. When they're selling the house, even before the house is built, they actually build the house, they simulate it, and they walk you through virtually. They walk you through the building and you look at this and you see the finished product as to whether it will come out finished. That way, that is a different story, but they walk through. And by the time you're buying that, someone was showing me something on lipstick. When you're buying lipstick, they actually give you various colors, something basic like that, various colors, and you put, then you decide the one you want to buy online. So I think these are virtual reality is something that is whatever, and that puts in line marketing people. Marketing people, where do you come in? We have now personnel management technologies, biometrics, remote supervision. HR, for people to get into the offices, we used to log in. Actually, the very improved version used to log in with our fingers and everything else. Before then, you used to go and sign, and somebody's at the gate actually making sure that nobody's signing for you. Right now, remotely, you don't even have the people, because of this pandemic, these are COVID-19. People are actually being supervised working from the houses. You log in. I was talking to somebody in one of the UN bodies. You log in, and if you're not active for, I think, 5 or so minutes, I think they're given 15 minutes, then you're flagged. You are working in your house. So what happens now? The whole of that line of people who actually were doing whose work was that. We are talking real seismic and weather surveillance, tracking advanced weather in real time and how they will affect our structures. That is also in engineering. When we are talking about survey, when survey luckily has metamorphosed, so to speak, itself so that it's actually able to get onto the digital age, because that is basically what we are doing. We are working now on very vast areas and very remote areas, and now we are able to get data from all that from outer space. And that is actually a new technology. So if the surveyors, people who did the old survey where you had that instrument that you look, the theodolites and what have you, are checking and seeing, and you have to have a line of vision. If you don't have a line of vision, then you have to cut trees for the people, for the vision to, I mean, for you to see. What has happened to those people now? Artificial intelligence that refines design for optimum and maximum capacity and construction. I want to show you just a small video, if you can watch this. This is actually mass production of houses. This was, I think this was in South Africa. If you could watch it for just a few minutes. Okay, I guess I don't need to go through all that. Let me go back to where we were. Basically, what I'm saying is that construction is a big industry in Kenya. I mean, at the best, we have a lot of construction going on, and construction industry employs a lot of people. As you saw, I'm in the Board of National Construction Authority, and I do know the kind of impact we make, the kind of livelihood that we give people. That is now being taken over by machines. That is actually, that building can be done in probably, I don't know how long. The human intervention in that is minimal, is to put bars, is to, the rest of them are actually sitting on computers and doing whatever it is that they're doing. Where does that leave the rest of us? And how does, for example, an engineer in school today, how do you make sure that you have what it takes to join that world, so that you're not left by, so that your engineering and your architecture and everything else does not become defunct at the end of your studies? That is one of the other things that we need to look at. We have construction materials, manufacturing for the future. Lighter and stronger, still alloy, moving away from kawaida concrete and masonry. I don't know if these are being too many. If they are, I wish I will. I do apologize, but I just
it's
want
still
to
okay. It's still okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Jenny, you're still within your time frame.
Okay, so I want to show you just something. You know, when you talk about innovation, we've always had this phrase that goes, there's no point reinventing the wheel. What happens when you have the wheel, you actually improve on it. I mean, a round wheel has worked perfectly for us. So what you do is actually, somebody, you saw the first video I had there, one of the top pictures I had there. That wheel was just a round thing with cogs and everything else. Somebody came and put rubber around it, as you're talking about tires. So we are not reinventing the wheels. What I want to show you about this one, This is a technology. I think I got this from, I don't know if it's from South Africa or China, but I know they are making these blocks there in China. So let's watch about this and I'll tell you about it. Just a bit of it. These are the mixing ratios that they give you. Now, why am I bringing this? Because, as I said, nobody's trying to reinvent the wheel and nobody should try. This is already existing technology. I think one of the issues I have with my own country, with our engineers, with myself, as I said, it is so much easier to import those molds from either China or from South Africa. I know they are there. But because we know what they are, we know what they do. Why is it that we can't make those molds ourselves here? You know, if you do that, first of all, it will become cheaper and will impact a lot more people. How many people are able to import those from China? When I got that these videos and those molds, I got somebody to actually just a student. They're even aerospace students. They're not even engineers, or I mean, they're not civil engineers or architects, but using what is that software of his called? I'll tell you. He's actually able to come up with a. You see this? This is actually the mold. He's just modified the mold that they're using there that we import directly from China and South Africa. And with this one, he's trying to get somebody to build it here for us. If we do that, then we actually don't have we don't lose our jobs. You get, we have this kind of mode now. If somebody makes this one, and then we have other companies and other manufacturing companies making this here in Kenya, I think we'll actually move quite some distance. First of all, in environmental, because this, when you do this, then you're not talking about breaking quarries and everything to make building bricks and everything else. So for you as an engineer, as an entrepreneur, because you're not reinventing the wheel, as I said before, try and make sure that whatever it is that you have, you can improve on it and you can get it locally manufactured. This specifically for our engineers, our architects. There is so much innovation out there. I still don't appreciate or understand why we want to import complete or finished products when you can do that on our own. Let's move on. We have clean and sustainable energy. Africa, what we have abundance of. And I mean, we have sun. Sun is the one thing that we have in abundance more than anywhere else. I don't know whether I should show you this, but this is in Morocco. In Morocco, they are currently doing the biggest sun. Let me just open this for a second. They are actually currently doing the biggest sun solar system in the world. Just look at the solar farm. See this. This is actually a solar farm. It is equal to 3,500 football pitches. And if you're going to have this, they're actually trying to make sure that they provide 45% of their solar, of their energy from solar. So just a second, let's do this for a second. Again, we are talking about us here in Africa. We don't have to start by making that big solar farm that is being made in Morocco. Electrical engineers and your mechanical counterparts and even the civil counterparts, so that you support and you do what is necessary. What is it that you can do, even for your own family? That solar panel that you can make. And you know what? It doesn't have to be something, elaborate. If you start from there, you will actually get somewhere. Africa is called the dark continent. And that is something that, you're called dark continent for very many reasons. Yet Africa, we have the highest concentration of the young people. Young people, what are you doing for us? What are you doing? You know, when I think about it, my grandmother had never seen a school. I'm probably one of the lucky ones because my parents had some education. But people of my age, and I'm talking now, anybody in the university, I am actually your mother, and probably you're not even my firstborn son. So anybody, if we are the second generation of educated people, some of us are actually the first generation within our family, and yet we have moved the way we have moved. You guys and you in the university, you are actually the third generation, and the number of you who are educated, the number of my parents' age who are educated are probably 10 to 15%. The number of us who are educated and went to probably up to the university level were probably higher than that. But the people in Kenya, almost everybody my age can speak some English, maybe not too good, but everybody can speak some English. At your age, everybody can speak English. And I'm not talking that English is the level of education, but that is the level of, that is the language of communication in our schools. So think outside. You're told to throw away the box. Absolutely throw it away and think what it is that you can do. Don't even go too far. All this information, for example, for a solar energy, for a windmill and everything else, for even the hydropower, you have it with you. And you can Google it. Google is your friend. You can get it wherever it is you can. Having said all that, I was looking at the current situation in Texas, USA, where they have the windmill and the solar powers and everything else have actually, everybody has gone away from what we call conventional energy systems and gone to now renewable energy. As we do that, we also need to be very careful because sometimes nature does fail us. And what happens when nature fails us? Unfortunately, in those countries, if it's winter, power or heating the house is not an option. It's not like here that you can just cover yourself with an extra blanket or something like that. If power fails in that country on account of, for example, in December and the winter times, you are in a lot of trouble. Because of who they are and their fast out thing, everybody buys food. Very few people. It's like us here in Nairobi. If we are not going to the market, I don't know how many of us can actually survive. They are like that. So the things that are actually making people really suffer is those little things that we take for granted. And as we take for granted, if I didn't have food in my house and all the markets in Nairobi were closed or whatever, and I couldn't even drive, I can probably walk from here to Wangige. Wangige, there are farms. You can walk to actually somewhere where you can get something to eat. Within the environs of Nairobi, within probably 25 kilometers, you can actually get a farm. So as we're talking about the digitization and everything else, remember that happens. I don't want to use that word, but it happens, and when it happens, you need to be careful about it. I remember one time I was giving a talk to engineers, and one of them asked me, she was as bad as I am, I guess, in drawing, so she was getting really agitated. Why, if she can use AutoCAD, why does anybody want her to use the slide rule, not slide rules, or T-squares and whatever to draw? And I told her, when you go and work, and as I said, Africa, we are actually a dark continent, we are a developing continent. And we get, especially in Kenya, we are very lucky, we actually get consultancies all over the world. I've worked quite a bit outside Somalia, South Sudan, and everything else, where you do not have the luxury of a computer. And even if you have a computer, you can't get an output. You cannot give an instruction on a computer on the field, because where do you print if you don't have a printer? Assuming you can even charge your computer there. So when you go to site, you actually have to give somebody an instruction, and you have to put that in pen and paper. So even as you're looking at the digitization, let us not completely throw away what we have learned, what makes us survive. You know, as I said, it's also good to have a computer, to have a phone. If your phone cannot be charged, it's completely useless. I mean, I'm as good as a person who doesn't have a phone. If my phone is not chargeable, what is it for? Or if it can't be charged, what is it for? So as we are doing all this, let us be careful that we don't, should I say, throw the baby with the bathwater. We go to agriculture. No, sorry, before you get to agriculture, we are talking about automotive engineers. Those are mainly mechanical, electrical engineers. There are many innovations that are being done. We have electrical cars, we have the hybrid cars, we have all that. I saw an article, I think that was on Monday or Tuesday, in African Week or Africa Week or something like that, that somebody in Dubai is actually trying to he's making electric bikes. And those electric bikes, his target is Africa. Oh, good. And he wants to, I can't remember what his figure was, his target for Africa. And I'm sitting back and I'm asking myself, why is a guy in Dubai targeting Africa to bring us bikes? Young people, what are you doing? I know somebody for real who's actually trying to make bikes for, what is that, the battery powered border. And Kimathi University, I know they are actually doing that. They are supporting that particular student. He's a student there. And he's trying to make bikes, and he's trying to see how it is, you know, trying to do simulations. Of course, that information is not in his head. He's done a lot of research and all that. And for all of us, can we move fast so that we don't get this information, these people targeting us to come and give us information, to come and give us renovations that we can do for ourselves? I don't know if you get what I'm talking about. We are such a ripe market for everything, for everybody, for innovations. And when somebody Bata sent somebody to Africa, one of their marketing guys, and when he came to Africa to come and market shoes, and when he came here, he walked around and he said, there is no hope there, nobody wears shoes in Africa. Another one came here, looked at that and said, that is our target. Nobody has shoes in Africa, everybody has to have shoes in Africa. We have shoes right now. So as we're seeing now, everybody has looked at us and seen what it is that we don't have, what it is that, whatever. And out there, out of our continent, we have people there who are coming back here, looking at what we don't have and deciding to innovate on us. People, please innovate on yourself. Innovate on yourself. And as they said, there was a slogan earlier, build Kenya, buy Kenya, build Kenya. I'm sure many of us will do that. When I go to the supermarket, you won't believe it, unless there is no Mumia, there is no Basaria, what was that other sugar called? I will not buy any other sugar that is actually not from that basic. And because I know that what that means to Kenya. If I buy Mumia sugar, and I have actually told my children, when you go to the supermarket, buy what is Kenya, if whatever. And let nobody start teaching you that Kenyan products are substandards or something like that. I mean, it's us who are consuming them, so I don't know where we are coming from. We are talking about roads. These are for civil engineers. Roads, when you're talking about civil engineers, you're looking at smart roads. You know, when you started, all the roads that I ever knew that time were, what were they? They were, we used to put hardcore on the road and park, actually hand park. So a road will take, like what we did on what is happening on Mombasa Road. I don't even know how it was ever going to happen then, or even, not Uhuru, what is this road? Thika Road. It would have taken years because we are actually physically taking so and parking one by one on the road. There are very new innovations that have come on that now. So I think we need to look at that and decide what else can be done on the road. Agriculture, smart houses. I'll not even get into the smart houses because my predecessor has spoken a lot about that. But as you're talking about greenhouses, you're talking about whatever. And let me tell you, during the COVID times, everybody discovered all you need in this world is food. food and air. We all stayed at home. I remember my car, I don't even know how many times I fueled that car throughout that year. And yet I was traveling a bit, but fuel came down to 90 shillings. Now it's gone back to where it belongs, 116 shillings or 115. What you need is food and air. Those are the basic survival, whatever. So we seem to think that, I think because, as I said, where we are coming from, we are the second generation, most of us the first generation that are leaving the homes. And when you leave the home, because that is what you do, umelima, you have cultivated all your life. And one of the reasons why you read so hard in school is never to hold a djembe again to cultivate. You think cultivation and planting of food is for those others who didn't go to school. At least Kenya, this has changed right now. And everybody, there's this smart farming and whatever Andrew was talking about. Please, let's embrace farming and let's look for new ways of doing the farming things. I think I want to go to the presentation now. All that was off the cuff. When I was preparing my presentation, one of the things I asked people the young people in my office is to come up with what it is they would want me to present. And I got very good feedback. I got whatever. I was wondering if the time I have is enough for all that. And somebody told me if I start talking about the way I went to school and the way I met lions on the way, I corrected them. They were not lions, they were buffaloes on the way. But that is neither here nor there. All I want to say is that, first of all, to appreciate the group, the office group, for giving me and for allowing me not to work so hard by giving me the slides. It would be, of course, wrong for me not to talk about what we do as an office. So this is not my slide, so this is what their vision is. And La Femme Engineering is engineering the future. That is, sorry, I'm trying to get the slide moving. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get this off so that I can get this. Thank you. So this is what we offer as a firm. I know you're not, I'm not marketing to you, so it doesn't matter. So we do innovation.
Kindly share your screen.
Sorry?
Kindly, Jane, are you sharing your screen?
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah, kindly share.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where do I share screen? That one. Engineer. Yeah. Am I sharing now?
Yes, you're sharing. Thank you.
Okay. So this is I was saying, I just want to say something about our company, very little of it. This is who we are, La Femme Engineering Services Limited. This is our concept, a design, construction, and project management company. Since 2006, we've been offering quality services to individuals and organizations. And I must say that one of probably our strong point right now is offering services to the UN and UN affiliated bodies. And the beauty of that is actually it's given us a different kind of perspective to humanity. One of the things I had done before was, it was in my biodata, was in refugee camps in Dadaab and Kakuma. And the most humbling point, and when I said what you need is food and air, I meant exactly that. When we received refugees in Kakuma, they had left, the Sudan had become stable. You remember, they got the independence and they got stable. And then suddenly in 2012, November, December, the civil war started. And everybody walked to Kakuma. You have no idea how many kilometers those people are walking. And because as a refugee, UNHCR, they can't pick people from their country. So you have to walk to our border, the border of Kenya, for you to be picked by the now UNHCR. So people walk many, many kilometers, and then they are picked from the border and they are brought to the collection center. And when they get there, everybody is stripped of everything. You're given a number. You actually come in as a number. When you come in from the border, you're given a number for you and your family. When you get to where we were receiving them, you're given a blanket, you're given a plate, and you're given a tent as a family. What else are we giving them? And a mat as a family. And then you're given food now. That is all you need. In this world, let me tell you, I have been humbled enough, and probably that was my most humbling experience. Anyway, back to La Femme. So I said we give services to whatever, and especially those ones. Our mission statement is innovation, pursuit of excellence, customer focus, and social responsibility. We do quite a bit of that when we can. Now, let's talk about digital transformation. To disrupt or be disrupted. And I think all I was talking about earlier was actually towards this. Things have changed as we just woke up one morning and found us in a totally different space. I said I'll talk about the previous industrial revolutions. The first industrial revolution used water and steam power to mechanize production. You know, initially everybody used to, everything was actually your own effort. And suddenly people realized they can actually mechanize a bit of what they do. So the first one, they used power, steam and power. The second, they used electrical power to create mass production. When you're talking about water and steam power, you remember coal. Coal was probably one of the first things that people discovered as an energy source. And then we came to electric power. There's a whole documentary about the two guys who are doing, who are competing for that, for what are the two currents? I'll remember that. Anyway, the third one is electronics and information technology to automate production. That is where we have been for a very long time. And suddenly now we have the fourth industrial revolution that is building on the third, the digital revolution. And this fourth industrial revolution has completely, actually this figure here is not, this photo here is not correct, because the fourth industrial revolution has completely gone off the roof and disrupted everything and everybody, some in a good way, some in a very bad way. We have, we're looking at the digital disruption, and the world largest list companies by market capitalizations are this one. I don't know whether you can read them properly. But as I said, digitization is a continuing convergence of the real and the virtual worlds. The main driver of innovation and change in all sectors of our economy. Somebody said, this guy is called Pierre Nantem, CEO of Accenture. He said digital is the main reason just over half of the companies on the Fortune 500 have disappeared since 2000. When you're talking about 2000, the digital reformation had barely started. So right now, that number is not 500. We are talking about very, very many other numbers. We're talking about the fourth industrial revolution industry. And we're talking about smart manufacturing, digitization, sustainability, environmentalism, industrial, and internet. Environmentalism or environmental safeguards were not a thing in the last, actually, even when I started working, they're not really a thing. But that time also, the kind of disruptions that we're having, or the kind of disruptions that were happening within the build industry were not so bad. Okay, maybe they were bad, they were not yet critical. Right now, if you don't watch out, everything, and probably that I mean, maybe the build world was a bit more controlled than it is. Right now, everybody is building everywhere. So if we do not get into the environmental safeguards, we can disrupt our world like you've never known before. How would the digitally transformed engineering industry look like in 5, 10, or 20 years? So that is for us to think about. This is where we are. So we had, somebody has associated the T-square to the monkey age, or where people are walking on all fours. And then when we came to you remember that other T-square I was showing you, the one that had, that could move a bit, we became a bit upright and all that. This is where we are right now. Now this one with BIM, generative design, we are actually working, we are robots. Robots are actually the ones that are doing most of our work, and that is what has replaced what it is that we can do. I just want to talk a bit about the BIM. The BIM is building information modeling. And as I said, mine was to address engineers and architects. So when I talk about BIM, they know what you're talking about. The building information modeling. And we are talking about starting from analysis, documentation, fabrication, construction logistics, operation maintenance, renovations, programming, digital conceptual designs. And actually, you start from the conceptual designs. You know what happened that time? Everybody had to sit in the same design office, and design office were major things. I remember in ADD is still there, I believe. In ADD, one of the things that probably marked an architect was actually they're translating, making models. At the end of the day, I had a model in my office. I don't know where it went to. Anyway, I can look for it later. You know, they make physical models with paper and glue, and they had very sharp knives and everything else. And every 4th year, 5th year, that is what they spent almost all their time doing, making models and making acceptable models. And therefore, you had to work in the same office. With BIM, people work from here to Korea, to South Africa, to Canada, and that is one office. And that is actually one of the biggest disruptors on the one hand, and also an enabler for us. We have a suite of technology which integrate to form a system, the heart of which is composed of 3D models. So basically, everybody can work from anywhere. And I think that is a very good thing, because when you're in Kenya, you actually can be employed by a company in Dubai, in Vegas, and you are actually working in the same office. Let's move on to BIM technologies. Basically just the same thing I'm talking about. And of course, what you're talking about is modeling, time saved, cost saved, performance enhanced, FM and M, I'm not sure, and then decommissioning. All these are actually now done within very whatever time. What does all this mean to you? I think that should be the question, the crux of the matter. What does all this mean to you? Key thoughts points. Is the technology moving too fast, leaving engineers and architects skill sets behind? Is it? What behaviors are needed to facilitate digital transformations, and from who? How is the skill gaps affecting organizations? Which technology replace people, or is it just fear tactics? And you're talking about banking, you're talking about teachers. All our students, or most of our students, went to school online, the ones who are not teenagers who refuse to go to school anyway. But during the last, the 1 year, the 9 months disruption, we had our students learning. Teachers, you know, initially we should have at least a minimum, it should be 30, but now whatever numbers we get in a class. Right now, you can teach whatever number of students online. What happens to the job of teachers? What are the CS challenges? You need to find opportunities to transform things for the better. And I think I would repeat that. You need to find opportunities to transform things for the better. You could sit there and decide that now I'm an AutoCAD technician and I no longer have work. So what else can I do? You know, you could do that. Or you could sit back and decide, AutoCAD is going where are people going this other way, and you start learning, changing your ways and going that direction. Low levels of productivity, redefine value beyond costs. That is very important, and I'll say something about it as I conclude. Guarantee infrastructure resilience and pressure to work more efficiently. Those are the things that you should actually sit back and look at. 5 trends that will shape the construction and capital projects. When it comes to leadership in digitization, the construction industry is one of the least digitized. Architects, I hope you're listening. Now, the 5 trends, one of them is higher definition, surveying, and geolocation. I think I mentioned that about surveyors. They need to do this. This is actually a new trend that has affected or will continue affecting what we do. Next generation 5D building information modeling, the architects you're listening, digital collaboration and mobility, the Internet of Things and advanced analytics, and then future-proof design and construction. So that as you do this, then you also, as I said earlier, you don't want to get disrupted by digitization or by digital world. when you need to come to the real world, because sometimes the digital world is not exactly the real world. Shaping a digital world, be the disruptor. See disruption for what it is, creating new markets to offer solutions in new ways. Embrace technology and behavioral change to succeed in future. Understand digital tools, how they all come together as a system to solve a problem, not to be a problem. And always be ready to reinvent yourself, keep up to date. The next generation, or the next gen, is for people who are fast in mastering and adapting to new technology to provide the best solutions efficiently and effectively. That comes to our question. But before I finish, there's something I would actually like to just say that is not probably outside all that I've said. And what I'd like to say is this. Who knows Thomas Edison? Thomas Edison is, I put that in quotes because there are many questions about that. The guy who invented the light bulb. He said he tried so many ways to do what he did, and he didn't make it quite until, I mean, all the ways he tried. And he said he has not failed. When somebody asked him, what do you feel about failing? He said, as far as he's concerned, he didn't fail. He just found 1,000 ways, 10,000 ways that will not work. He also said, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. You need to work absolutely hard to get where you want to be. And also disrupt your current world. You know, sometimes you find yourself, you've been doing so well where you are, then something just happens and you're like, I already worked so hard. You need to keep on working so hard to get to the next level. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always try just one more time. And I want to talk about the values and virtues. I attended something for Strathmore. I think that was on NSC. And this is what they were talking about. They were talking about lifestyle. We try to teach lifestyle to our young ones. And the lifestyle is so many things. What we don't tell them is actually what shapes your lifestyle. Number one is honesty. Number two is integrity. Number three is resilience. Number four is perseverance. If you have those four, you will actually be able to, you'll probably be, I mean, everything else you do will work. I want to leave you with a final message here. And this message is actually just a tweet. You remember what JF Kennedy told these people? Was it JF Kennedy, one of the American presidents? Ask not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. With artificial intelligence around, it will students to ask themselves what career to hold at premium for more of what problems they can solve, but more, you know, let me read this again. With AI around, ask the students, this is one of my office mates who put this up. It would be nice for students to ask themselves not what career to hold at premium, but what problems they can solve. If you always start thinking what career you want to take, there are very many careers. And if you ask me what you should do when you grow up, of course I'll tell you a civil engineer, because in my world, I think I've succeeded as a civil engineer. But the question you should ask yourself, where you are, what problem can you see that you're trying to solve? This boy who was doing for me, okay, this young man who was doing for me those molds, what problem is he trying to solve? He's trying to solve the problem of actually not importing ready molds. He's trying to make sure that these molds can be made here. And if he does that, then he makes a business case for himself, and he actually now makes a living out of that. He makes a career out of that. It's the same way he's actually trying to do motorbikes. What problem is he trying to solve? What he's trying to solve in those ones, he's trying to make sure that we use less gas on motorbikes so that they become cheaper and they become more sustainable, and anybody can be able to afford a bike, other than trying to do that as a career. Once he does that, then the career follows him. Once he do that, then finances follow him. If you, I don't know how many of you know a company called Cellulant. Cellulant, when they started, the founder, Ken, and his counterpart, what they had in mind was actually a vision in the head. That is mobile money. How do you move money from one point to another one without having to go to the bank and everything. As I said, right now, I can do all that on my phone. Right now, I will get whatever account I want from my account, and I'll make money and all that. So it took them many years. Right now, it's one of the Pan-African giants, but it took many years. But you know, he had that vision of what problem he's trying to solve. If you have the vision and if you know what you're trying to solve, everything else will actually follow. You do that, you do a bit of research, and you find out what you can and you can't do, you can do and you can't do, then you move on. And finally, I repeat again, honesty, integrity, resilience, perseverance. They will get where you want to be. Thank you very much. I hope I haven't taken too much time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jen. Honesty, integrity, resilience, perseverance. I think that is the big shot we are coming out with. Panelists, members, can we clap for Jen and Andrew? They have made our day. Okay, I know, Jen, there could be one or two questions which we allow the listeners to ask. Please, participants, you are free to ask Engineer Jen your questions. Please feel free. Engineers on board. Okay, as I think, Jen, I have a personal question.
Yes, sir.
Just looking at the engineering sector in Kenya, what could be the missing link that we still use the same old bricks we used to do when my mother's house was being built and those many, many years in the villages? The style of building and everything, the bricks which are in the village, and it's still the same. Yet so many things are coming up. Is it that the engineers are not reaching to the people to tell them what to do, or we are culturally aligned to what we do and change is quite important? I'm a teacher, I'm a lecturer in education. Even convincing students to use their mobile phone for learning is a big challenge. What is the challenge in engineering that we are not moving fast as a country the way others are moving? Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think, how do I say, you know, there's something in science we call inertia. Inertia is actually the force needed for a stationary item to move or a moving item to stop. Bricks and mortar have been working in our life all along. And by the way, it is such an improvement from the previous, initially we used to use mud and grass for thatching our houses. And every rainy season, we come back and repair and do that. That is our parents. As I said, I'm coming from that generation where we actually the transition. My grandmother never even knew, other than interesting, my grandmother knew Amkamba, Ameru, and a Maasai. Those were the three tribes in her life. So anything you do, anybody who doesn't speak a dialect she understands remotely is a Maasai, because Meru and Kamba, they can understand it, and they can understand a bit of each other. What I'm trying to say is that in this generation, the way we came, and this stone and mortar is actually almost an innovation. It's almost an invention. I don't know what to call it. So that's why we are actually stuck there. But there are very many things right now. And as I said, we have very many young people amongst us. They are questioning the way you're questioning. They are raising issues the way you have raised them. And they are asking us, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do this? One of the issues I had with my nephews and nieces is, why do they have to go to school? I mean, why can't they learn at home? Why can't they? That was before COVID. And why do they have to do exams and all that? So these young people are actually questioning now the way we have done things. Our question was how our parents were doing things. So we changed what we knew. So now these ones are going to disrupt everything, and they are going to come up with many new innovations. And these things we've been importing from China, I'm still challenging them, and I still hope that they know what they're talking about, so that we don't have, we move away from where we are. We need to do that. I totally agree with you.
Thank you. Can we hear any other question from the listeners, participants? Okay, are people in the house? Salome Wamboy, I can see you. Can we hear anything from the participants? Please don't feel shy. Joyce Gadoni, I can see you. Esther Njia, Eric Chesoni. Martin Kinudia. Okay, okay. I think all has been well. We have summed up everything we have learned, we have shared. We've been, our two presenters have just been wonderful. We would welcome them again one day to talk to us, and we just have a forum for the engineering students and the others to be addressed by Andrew, who is really using the social enterprise approach. I see it in the two presenters. That is where we are now, looking at things from the practical perspective, not the research, not the book paper, and the rest. Things are working on the ground. So we do thank you. Dr. Tieno said that he's going to say something before we close. Before I say the last word, can I hear from the organizers? Corporate Affairs, Mr. Orindi? Okay, Mr. Orindi's office is not responding. Yeah, but we are grateful for your work and we are grateful for your time, Andrew. Take it that on behalf of the university and the organizers of this 10th Open Day, we appreciate what you've done to us. It has been wonderful. Our participants also appreciate, and we wish that more could have been in the house to learn, but we are told that the presentation will be shared on YouTube. It will be shared on other social media sites like Twitter and many others. It will be available for others who have missed to listen. Thank you so much, and see you another day, and welcome to the university, and welcome the two of you to your alma mater, and feel at home. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Andrew, thank you so much. We'll chat after this.
To the end of our session, and we thank everybody and we say bye to all.
Thank you.
John will take you to copy dial.
Jatel. Iti mliko denada ya kunyata loro na webina. What's a loro? It was very nice, yeah. People miss so much. Oh no, I'm right. It was nice. Yeah, our Jogo presenters were so good. So, hey. Yeah, tia na do donje yawa. Okay.